Hello and welcome to SunnyRedemption Sailing, your bi-weekly-ish voyage for BSV Gaming News. Knicks in 5!
That was a great series. I don't follow the NBA much, but I usually do at least watch the playoffs. So that was fun to watch.
That's about the extent of my watching of most sports, too. Still enjoyed the Game 5, that was the one. So, first my mom and I went to a sports bar on the wharf called Whitlow's, which was so awesome. The wharf is so pretty in DC. And they had fast service despite how crowded it was, of a very good fish sandwich. I guess I'm just representing Athena's fortune, right?
I'll go do that in a sec too.
What's with Lorena?
I just want to see if she had anything new. She didn't since the last time I checked.
Oh, right. I keep forgetting about the letters of golden recommendation, but I don't have enough doubloons for that. I guess I could spend 5 on a fireworks case. I'm also getting a warning about an unstable connection. But anyway, so that was fun. And then when I got back to my apartment, unfortunately, we watched about a quarter of the game. Oh, wow, it's really unstable connection. I just got teleported 2 feet to the left.
Oh, hopefully that calms down.
I don't know what is going on because my Xbox has not been able to find my Wi-Fi network since the June update, and I've only been able to connect to the internet via Ethernet. I'll talk about more of the implications of that in a minute, but so we had to spend a quarter of the game watching it on the floor outside of my apartment on our phones because my smart lock died again. So stupid. And we had to wait about 45 minutes for maintenance.
Bummer.
But the guy who came was really nice, so it doesn't reflect on him at all. It's just, why are they making him live so far away? And why do we have such a stupid system that constantly needs batteries? It's so wasteful. Just provisioning ourselves.
I'd put down a voyage as well. I don't know what type of voyage you want to do, but I'm good with just like an X marks the spot.
I'm fine with whatever.
Preference. Cool. We do have a grade 3 Reaper up on the northeast corner of the map, so we'll just want to keep an eye on them.
I'm perfectly fine being the navigator since I decided to have you do this ship. That's a good point.
If we dive somewhere very close, maybe we just sail away and re-roll.
Fair enough. Let's find out as quickly as possible with wind. So then I watched the last part of the greatest basketball game I've ever seen.
That was a hell of a game.
I wasn't too worried because I figured that the mathematical odds of the Spurs coming back were fairly slim, but it was still nice that it was that night to bond with my mom over basketball because my grandma actually played basketball in high school, and I believe my mom did too. Anyway, so then the sporting event I was really excited about was the F1 Barcelona Grand Prix, and that was because we got to go to F1 Arcade in Washington, D.C., which is only about a 20-minute walk from my apartment. And they had a fairly reasonable cover charge considering $30, but made up for it with fairly cheap and really high-quality food. My mom got a salad that was really, well, that was a weird glitch with our ship being in air and then water again. But, so her quinoa salad was a very generous portion, and we also got a martini cheese dip with firm pita to split. So that was really tasty. I've never tried that, but it was really good and creamy cheese. And then I got shrimp tacos, which might be some of the best I've ever had, which is wild to say because I thought it would just be sports bar level fare. And I suppose in terms of how easy it is to make it, a lot of it was handheld. It's like tacos and burgers and things for ease of service. But the service was really good too. They made my mom a decaf latte, even though that wasn't technically on the menu for breakfast. So that was really good. Nice. And then in between the heartbreaking moments of Kimi Antonelli getting his engine stalled out, and I was like, no! And Lewis Hamilton's triumph after 600 plus days of not winning a Grand Prix. there was a really good lineup of simulators. I don't know if those were running F125, but it felt fairly similar, so I imagine that's likely. And the force feedback on both the accelerator and brake were really nice. The wheel had good tension. It was everything you'd expect from an arcade simulator with a bunch of linked up machines. Except that I did not expect to get bumped off the road as much as I did by the 6-year-olds who were playing. But hey, my mom had fun with them even. She passed a toddler. So
There we go.
I was like, don't worry about anything. Just drive as best you can and have fun. I gotta get some wood and light a fire soon if I want cooked snake. But I'm being attacked by skeletons right now. Are you kidding me? Again with the exploding barrels. I'm just gonna die. Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, what it feels like to be an Xbox fan right now. Because after the greatest showcase they've had in years, Xbox decided to poop on the party of finally getting good exclusive games by saying, well, gotta cut costs somewhere, which means more layoffs.
Yeah. Even though Xbox is the focal point here because it's mostly their studios that are being talked about, I know there's a couple others going around like quanticdream.
Didn't hear about quanticdream, but I did hear about Ubisoft. What was it? Will you leave me alone? Skeletons. Thank you. As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by the undead. Ubisoft Winnipeg and Ubisoft Belgrade were cut entirely, and another 51 people were laid off in Barcelona, as well as an undisclosed but potentially dozens of people in San Francisco.
Yeah, because they had been working on Rocksmith Plus, and that thing's been basically in maintenance mode for a while. Like, they're still adding stuff to it here and there. That thing really missed the mark for a lot of people. So I don't know. I don't know if they had other stuff they were working on, but that was the most recent thing I'm aware of from the San Francisco team, at least.
A total of 680 jobs could be at risk.
Yeah.
I also heard some distressing news about Dontnod, that the company's financial performance was not great.
Yeah, that was part and parcel with the reporting from some French news outlets about quanticdream as well. So I think that kind of came from the same spot of like a lot of these French, hearing about both Dontnod and quanticdream not doing so well. That's where the Arcane stuff is coming from too.
Yeah,
their own.
Yeah, that is their main studio after all. Dontnod is particularly distressing for me because they made one of my favorite games of all time in Life is Strange. That was one of their few commercial successes, though. Yeah, and that game was made under strained conditions as well. Tell me why it was basically subsidized by Microsoft, including being given away for free over multiple years.
Yeah, they do that every year.
Twin Mirror does not appear to have set the world on fire for Bandai Namco. Maybe it was a moderate success, but Lost Records definitely missed. Otherwise,
that's unfortunate because I finished that game, but I really liked what I played.
Still,
the first half of it. Yeah,
wow.
I just have not a lot of those like narrative games. I've just not had time for the past few months.
Yeah, understandable with the RPGs.
When I do have time to sit down, when I do have time to sit down for games, it tends to be I find myself, like down and play a 3-hour session in a JRPG, no problem. For whatever reason, narrative games, like I'm very picky when I play those, so that's part of it.
I can see that. Speaking of seeing things, I am hearing a mermaid statue. Yep, it's a red one. I'll go get it.
Okay. Let me know if you do need help. I'm just pointing one of the chests. There we go.
Nice. Lost Records was one of my favorite games that I played this year. Its story is just so heartfelt by the end, and grounded in realistic emotion with a bit of a lighter supernatural touch. And so to hear about this is really distressing for me, especially because, as I mentioned, Lost Records ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
So now that probably will never get resolved.
Yeah.
Which stinks. It's part of the problem. Like, new IP not getting much of a chance. Not getting that Assassin's Creed 2 moment to refine things. It's just too slow in the age of free-to-play games and a bazillion indies everywhere, and AAA studios using AI, even if they have to keep it a secret. I'm sure that a lot of places are in order to cut costs.
Yeah.
It's part of the broader economic trend too, because after the Great Resignation, people started getting picky about what salaries they had, and that was part of the problem too. Oh,
all right,
I'm being
here
attacked.
to help you with the statue.
Yeah, I clearly need it.
Oh, I'm also being attacked. Oh, by mermaids. Okay.
Yep, that's exactly the problem. Anyway, so I definitely. Oh, they apparently have ranged fun. Let me rear the ship and get some like wood to cook food with, potentially, or just a bunch of fruit.
I mean, we're not here much longer. You could just use the stove on the ship.
That's true. Never mind. But yeah,
I just have one more chest to find, and it should be pretty easy.
I really hope they do okay. But why don't you talk a bit about Double Fine's potential problems while I collect my thoughts?
That's definitely the one that I like doesn't get cup in this, or at least gets spun out into, finding another buyer or going independent again, because that was one of the purchases when Microsoft made it. Like, it sounded convincingly like Double Fine might have genuinely gone under earlier without Microsoft. Like, they were really burning a lot of money on, Psychonauts 2 and other smaller projects. And it sounded like Microsoft did genuinely bail them out in some way. But that being said, I would really hate if this is where it ended up with Microsoft shutting them down, because like they've do their smaller projects, and maybe those smaller projects haven't worked out to be like gigantic blockbusters, but that was never going to be Double Fine's MO.
Like, exactly. That's what's so frustrating.
It's like, if you diverse portfolio, you need to support and foster your diverse set of studios, not just expect everything to be a 5 to 10 million selling hit. Like, Killing That definitely didn't set the world on fire. I only played a few matches of it, but I had a good enough time. I was like, well, that's another Double Fine game. I'm happy it's there. I'm not like the biggest small multiplayer fan of stuff like that these days, so I didn't like stick with it beyond a couple hours saying, oh, that's neat. But I'm all what Double Fine's doing next. Even if it's something that doesn't super grab me like their last couple projects, like I still want to see what they can do. They have plenty of talent there, and they're good at, like, based on dozens of hours of documentary footage I've watched, they've got a good culture of like supporting that talent, letting them incubate ideas. So I really hope that doesn't go away. Like, I mean, if you think about even some of the stuff, like, I remember when the devs started, that was a Double Fine initiative back in the day, and now that's become a pretty big sort of platform for people to showcase their smaller indie games that Summer Game Fest is officially partnering with too. Like, that was the follow-up stream to the main Summer Game Fest stream. I think it has.
Oh, it's already happened?
Years. Yeah,
this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, always right after. Well, these days it used to be like a post E3 thing. Now it's sort of aligned itself with Summer Game Fest. Like, so getting that eyes and stuff on indie games has always been something Double Fine has been good at doing. And even, Microsoft, I remember when Microsoft bought Double Fine, one of the questions was like, okay, is stuff like Dave that was going to still happen? And Microsoft has been pretty hands-off and just let Double Fine be Double Fine so far. So it would be really a shame if, like, this was how it ended for them. I think it's probably one of the ones that I would feel, like, on a personal level, worst about. But if they were going to shutter without Microsoft's involvement, at least they got a few good years out of it and got to put Psychonauts 2 out and Kiln and Keeper. Like, that's ones I feel least bad about, even if the acquisition ended up this way and it sucks really badly. If the alternative in some, sliding doors reality would have been not having, like, that stuff exist, Psychonauts 2 just for compromise, not given a decent enough budget, then I'll take this reality over that at least, but it still really sucks.
Oh yeah.
The one that puzzles me, well, Compulsion, I guess. South of Midnight again didn't set the world on fire, but got some critical acclaim, and that has
Yeah.
been something.
The one that's made the
If
angriest.
you're going to be publishing games, especially as a first party, you need to have more than just sales in mind.
Exactly.
Like, you need to have some level of like, hey, we're proud of publishing this game that may have only sold a fraction of a lot of our big tentpoles, but
especially with Game Pass.
You need to stand. Yeah, exactly. The pass was,
again with the exploding barrels. Ah.
Oh, okay.
No.
Check the ship.
But first, resurrect me, please.
I'd rather not have the ship not sink.
Oh, well, I see you value me then. No, it's okay. I give my life for the ship once again. But Compulsion makes me so angry. And you know why?
Yeah.
Because they worked their butts off on their first game on Contrast. Because they were working on things like Darksiders, Dungeons & Dragons, Daggerdale, and Arthur Christmas Elf Run in order to be able to raise the money to build Contrast, which, you know what? When that was showcased by Sony, that was one of the games that made me want a PS4 alongside the big games like Killzone Shadowfall. Because you have to have variety. Because Microsoft keeps saying, oh, well, we gotta have a more diverse portfolios, including small games. Like right after they closed Tango Gameworks and shut down Hi-Fi Rush, which was so tone deaf. And then they're like, oh, actually, we gotta focus on our biggest games and get them out faster. So we gotta cut costs somewhere. And then they wonder why they don't have a diverse portfolio of games and end up having to buy new studios. Which, that was a pretty big spree for Phil Spencer, and that seemed pretty positive until he decided to get greedy and swallow Activision. That's what this has been all about, is the $70 billion that they wasted.
And the thing with the Activision thing is it's something that on paper might have made sense at the time where things were at financially, because they did have a lot of, what you want to cheap money to spend. They saw like an opportunity. So they're, they took the opportunity, probably paid the least that you possibly could have paid for Activision because they were in such a weak position at the time.
True, due to the scandals.
Free money flowing in this, coming out of the pandemic time where there's
of zero interest rates.
Yeah, and there was still such a boom period in the industry that I think you didn't have to be an economist, and I sure as hell don't know what I'm talking about with economics. You just see that this boom period isn't going to be infinite. Like the 2020 to 2022 huge boom, it's like this isn't going to be like a permanent influx of. It's going to be people who are looking for alternatives during a global pandemic, and it's going to, maybe you'll get some players to stick around, but it's not going to, like, all of the hiring sprees that every company was going on during that time. I think now we're just seeing the effect. It's affecting Xbox right now, but it's already affected plenty of other places too. And Xbox is just the focal point right now, especially with the lens that they have them from, everybody seeing what the leadership's going to do. And I think they can hem and haw and say this was a tough decision, whatever. But whatever financial justification doesn't make it hurt any less.
Exactly. What's even more annoying about this is that the United States is one of the few developed countries that still allows the barbaric practice of at-will employment. In a better economy where hiring was actually up, you could theoretically argue that those developers would likely land on their feet at another game studio. But hiring is frozen practically everywhere due to, I don't know, the fucking dictator in the White House deciding that he can just screw with the economy at whim on Truth Social. Plus, that zero interest rate policy obviously wasn't going to last forever either. But when money was free, that's when Phil Spencer got lazy. When mattbooty got lazy. When they let, South of Midnight take 7 years.
Yeah,
Arcane have struggles with Redfall and all.
And I think that's the thing that gets at me, because there was a notion of, hey, we're gonna kind of be very hands-off with these studios, and that felt like a reaction to how in the late 2000s to early 2010s was, very hands-on, and to a detrimental effect, kind of ran a few studios into the ground. I think Phil wasn't in charge then, and when he got put in charge, he's, it seemed like, hey, let's try the opposite approach, and both approaches clearly have their drawbacks.
When taken to extremes like this.
Yeah, like it just seems like the hands were off the wheel way too much.
Absolutely.
Like, they should have had someone in there who could quality control it and say, hey, this isn't working, it needs to be retooled, or just canceled, make a new project. Game stuck in development hell, reshuffled around, and then canceled, like Perfect Dark. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, the initiative was really stuck in pre-production hell for so long.
Could something not have been like just scale down the assets and everything that you have and put it out as like a $40 whatever game and make the money you can from it? I just don't understand the concept of being so hands off. You let a project be in this malaise for years and years with nothing to show at the end of it. And again, mattbooty's still there, and he was still very much in charge during the last regime too, so it's don't forget that part. So
yeah,
I'm pretty wary of what's going on there.
Black woman got fired.
Yeah, and then keep in mind I don't know if you saw this, but two of the people who were put in charge a couple years ago from Rare, that got put in charge of
Craig Duncan.
Craig Duncan
he just quit.
Yes. So I wonder if they saw the writing on the wall and were like, all right, we got to get out of here before all these layoffs happen that get pinned on us. Who knows? But
or just feeling disgusted.
Exactly. Yes. Both of them were just in the week after the showcase. They were going around visiting studios across Europe. At least I saw Louise O'Connor at least hosting from where, but one of their Europe studios.
They died again from a shark.
Ooh, okay. I just have to resurrect. I just ran off.
Okay, well, that's fine then, I suppose. I am just not having much luck.
So with that stuff, I wonder if that's just a case of I mean, I don't think we know whether they quit voluntarily or were replaced or are replaced, but I wonder if that's I don't see someone like Louise O'Connor or Craig Duncan willingly visiting these studios if they knew there was about to be a bloodbath, I think Louise did visit Compulsion recently, I think. In that case, if that place is about to suffer layoffs or shut down, not that I know anything about Louise O'Connor other than her being pretty in the trenches at Rare. I think a former developer, I hope that they wouldn't just, put on a brave face knowing what's going to happen there. So yeah. I would imagine maybe this stuff was probably the past couple of days, someone higher up than them decided hey, we got to do this at the people higher up than them. In this case, it would probably be just Satya Nadella.
It feels very similar to what happened with Sony in a few cases. Bungie would have gone under without Sony, and Sony let them faff around doing practically nothing for years to really bring Destiny up from ruin, and then pinned everything on the developers because they didn't hold the leadership accountable. And also, it feels like how London studio threw a party for
Jim Ryan, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Jim Ryan visited days before.
And then got laid off. A lot of these are just gonna end up being revealed by jasonschreier in backroom meetings and stuff. And he broke a lot of this news too, because he's one of the few remaining mainstream game journalists I respect anymore. Though Kotaku had good scoops as well, particularly about Compulsion, and a source saying that they're negotiating. So let's try and put a silver lining on this. What I'll call the Toys for Bob scenario.
Yeah, that would be the ideal circumstances. Microsoft, hey, we can't keep all these studios, or let's at least let them loose and on their own. They can fend for themselves, but still, keep whatever IPs they have. That would be the ideal for me.
The other thing they could do, which seems likely to me, if they do that, is put them in long-term agreements where it's hey, we're going to basically fund you a little bit less, but enough to survive as second-party developers, making content exclusively for us without having to pay salaries and administrative overhead and all that. That would be pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
I mean,
like if that from like whatever financial perspective they're looking at it, then that would be the only thing. That would be the one way to make me not too bad about it. It's like, okay, if jobs can be kept and studios can stay open, that's better than nothing.
but they will be released into a very crowded market right now.
Oh yeah. So I do wonder, like, the few big publishers left that would be able to buy some of these studios, I wonder if any of them would actually jump on it.
Well, I don't think it would be anything good in the case of, say, Amazon, because I think that they did a better job of handling the, like, IP resurrection than Xbox did with the initiative by having Crystal Dynamics do a remake to test out the technology, and of course that includes AI, which sucks. But case in point, that gives them a bit more time to get comfortable before doing a new game. But Amazon as a company is fucking evil, and if the entirety of Xbox is spun out, which is vanishingly unlikely, but let's just say it is, they would love to just have everything Fallout related and all those video game IPs for Prime shows in order to lock in more of our culture in this consolidation that we live in, and then just get rid of the expensive fucking consoles, because Microsoft has said they lose hundreds of dollars on Xbox Series X's and probably Series S's, but not as much.
Oh, I put Voyage down, whatever you're...
Sounds good. They say they're looking to change the business model for the next generation, which probably means that Helix's specifications will be OEM'd out. Now, this has me slightly worried for the consistency of backwards compatibility, because if you want consistent backwards compatibility to the hardware level, you need the hardware that is very connected to the past hardware. That Helix was the original name for this effort, and it enabled Xbox One games to run smoothly at the same frame rates if they didn't get a patch on the Xbox One X. They definitely managed quite a few good results with Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, but that was software only. And if Helix is just a specification, then it's not going to be consistent. And if it's a $2,000 console, then they're going to try and trap more people into the stupid buy now, pay later bullshit. That's what I've been reading, and that fucking sucks. Because if it really was, as advertised, a really great next-gen console with mind-blowing features and PC compatibility that would allow me to just not worry, like, again, having games from the Windows mode in console mode and just launch in console mode without having to switch over would be nice as well. The problem is that seems unlikely with how Microsoft is bungling everything related to Windows 11. And Windows 12 is going to be modular, so that doesn't fill me with confidence for the next generation. And that means I probably will hold off, which means that most people will hold off. Especially if it comes out in 2028, honestly, because we really just have not had a great exclusive lineup for the Series X. We've had solid first-party games for the most part. Like, Psychonauts 2 was part of one of Microsoft's best years ever.
Yeah.
But Halo Infinite did not do what it was supposed to do, did not get people hooked on Halo for 10 years. And so, if they try to rush out the next Halo and it isn't good, then that might kill Halo for a while for a lot of people. And that's their golden goose. Or it was.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's pinning an entire, like, publisher's stake on one franchise at this point, especially something like Halo.
Well, a handful of franchises.
But
a few more franchises.
Like, I think even if the next Halo comes out and is good, the industry has really just... The industry's in a much different place than it was in 2001 or even, 2007 if you're talking Halo 3. just so much bigger that like server change. I don't see, if the next Halo sells Halo 3 numbers even, like that's there are plenty of games these days that end up selling like that,
Yeah, I don't know if many games can compete with, say, GTA 6 in terms of
Yeah,
sales.
the industry's just such a scale now. Like I don't think you can expect Halo to be that level of tentpole unless you do something like Call of Duty did through attrition of just having every single year holiday season release, just keep people in that, like, and just keep people really entrenched in, hey, I got to go buy the new Call of Duty because they're at least some minimum level of quality every year, even if they're not breaking the mold every time. Like, they're not, I don't want them to do that with Halo. Pinning any sort of like savior's hopes onto Halo these days doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like the market for shooters has changed so much. The most I want from Halo is for it to just be a solid game that keeps a decent community, which I liked 5. I liked most of the 343 era Halo stuff well enough, but I don't know. I don't need it to be like Halo 3 again.
Yeah.
Whatever your touchstone for that is, for me it was like 2 through Reach, but I don't need it to reach that level of cultural cachet again, because I really don't think it can. There's just so much else going on in the industry these days that like just putting out a pretty good or great shooter is not going to move the needle that much.
They're still trying to get or keep high cultural cachet with their IPs. For instance, with the Gears and Call of Duty movies.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And they did try the Halo Paramount show a few years ago. But I think if you want to look at the franchises that are actually moving the needle right now, I would say like Forza Horizon 6. That has like an insane player base at this point. I forget what the last number they put out was, but it's like already well outpaced any of the other games in the franchise, and it just seems to still be growing.
Despite all the issues, unfortunately, with the AI, it really is an excellent game. So, yeah.
And so, like, I just don't see why it needs to be, oh, we bring Halo back. We got to get Halo back into, like, a state where it can outpace something like Forza, because I just don't think it's going to anymore.
The other IP that's really having a moment right now is Fallout, and Microsoft has been eternally frustrated with the fact that there's not a new Fallout game right now.
Yeah, like all they've been able to do the past few years of Fallout is keep pumping out those Fallout 76 expansions, which I'm sure must do pretty well based on the fact that they keep doing them and they haven't just sunsetted that game. But, I think people either want New Vegas 2, Fallout 5, or even just a remaster of either New Vegas or 3. Like, those are their options with that franchise. There has been those rumors of that 3 remaster in the style of what they did with Oblivion. So I would expect that to be the next. Whenever they do get around to putting out a Fallout product, I would expect that to be like what comes out. And
it'd be nice if that was solidly confirmed or anything.
I mean, there's been enough rumors of it that I have to imagine at one point it has been legitimately in development. And I don't see why they would cancel something like that, given how much of an upswing Fallout has been on the past few years, just with the show. So I would have to imagine if there's anything in development like that's far along for Fallout, it would be like some sort of remaster.
At least the show will be fine if there's not a game to draw on, because I don't know how much, if at all, you saw of Season 2 of Fallout.
No, I never even finished Season 1. I watched the first few episodes.
Well, okay, I understand the diehard New Vegas fan complaints about some of it, but I really enjoyed Season 2, even more than Season 1, because Season 1 had to do a lot of setting up, which makes sense. This is a new world with lots of new concepts to get familiar with. They did that very well. Then, they really executed on the strengths of the New Vegas setting in terms of tone, even if the lore isn't consistent. Yeah. Which, like, you try keeping, 30 years worth of lore straight. It's very hard. But what they've done with the ending of this is indicated that they're going to Colorado. That's all I'll say about that.
Mhm.
And that has not really been explored all that much. Other than that, it's the theoretical homeland of the Legion, from whence they came and conquered. And when I saw that, my mind was blown because I told my sister, I will not be able to help you anymore with understanding the plot of this. It'll be as new to me as it is to you. That's really exciting because I feel like the writers of the TV show really care about Fallout and really want to stretch their legs here. And they did with this when they had the established material. So I feel like Fallout will definitely stay in the conversation long enough for something to happen in the gaming world.
Yeah.
I think that's about all I can say without spoilers. But
Like,
man, I would love a
wonder-
remaster because that is janky as shit to play sometimes.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, could they just be sitting on that something until to actually time it with, like, a new season, I guess?
Could
Maybe
be.
there's- It seems like, based on the popularity of that show, like, as soon as season 1 hit, they would at least greenlit something to go into production by then.
I read something about that, but I don't remember what it was or what the article was exactly.
I mean, I know Todd Howard has talked about, like, hey, Fallout 5 will happen someday, but someday is going to be, like, in the 2030s. So, like,
oh gosh.
in terms of the next couple of years, I don't think they'll have anything besides a remaster. But even that, if they can get to the quality of, like, that that Elder Scrolls remaster, like, that could be good.
I heard the Oblivion remaster had a lot of problems though.
Oh, I had a good time with that. I put, like, I don't know, 10, 15 hours into it. I'm really not an Elder Scrolls guy, but, like, I don't know. I didn't have any issues with it.
Well, you seem to have been one of the lucky ones when it came to that. But I do want to get back into that at some point. I just don't have time for gigantic RPGs all that much anymore. Because I'm looking at the installation for wherewindsmeet. I tried to
Oh, yeah.
do the sync.
I cleared some space for that one.
I tried to do the character sync for that one, but I can't seem to find it on Steam, and it's taking up 148.5 fucking gigabytes
Yeah.
on my hard drive for a game I barely played. So I don't know if I'll keep it on Xbox. I just don't feel very good about where video games are right now, and I had wanted
it
to.
It depends on where you look, because there's plenty of great stuff coming out, especially from smaller studios. Like that feels in some ways like, I don't want to say it's like never been healthier, but it's never been more plentiful. Like,
Which is also the problem.
Like there's never going to be, like, I just don't understand people who say there's nothing to play, because there's, like, the past, like, pretty much since Xbox Live Arcade became a thing. I mean, even before that, if you want to look at just freeware and shareware stuff on PC, I don't know, there's just so much interesting stuff to either just go back to or new stuff coming out. Like, I just don't understand people who have such narrow interests in what games they play that they just say that there's nothing to play. Because I wish I could, like, bottle up time and play everything, because I just have so many games to play. I just don't understand the mindset of... I just don't understand that perspective. I'm just never bored of what's coming out or what's out.
Well, and your time is very inconsistent for sure, but I definitely have a lot less time than I used to for video games. It's not that there's, not enough to play, it's that there's too much to play.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that can be hard too.
You just have to let some filter there.
Like, yeah, have you been neurodivergent?
Well, yeah, fair enough.
But and with a kid, no. Yeah. But I get your perspective. Like, there is a lot of good stuff to play. I have been enjoying games. It's just that it's tough to feel like this business is in a healthy state when people are losing their jobs.
Oh yeah, the business is in a really terrible place. But I don't know, I kind of divorce that from where, as a person playing games, I'm not talking even as a, consumer buying games. I'm just talking playing games. I think it's never been stronger. So I don't want to act like I'm defending the industry at large or saying that it's like in, a great place from a financial perspective. As just a person who likes playing video games and has been playing them for 30 years, like, I don't know, I just like the variety that, like, if whatever genre you're into feels like it's basically booming. Even, some stuff that's been neglected as to, like, RTS feels like there's a lot of stuff happening there. And
Well,
other genres, even like FMV games from the 90s, there's a lot of newer ones of those coming out of Asia, especially. Like there's just so much going on. And I like that. I like the notion of feeling like, oh, I could be playing something. There's so much to play is what we're getting at. And I view that as mostly a positive thing from a player perspective. Maybe not a business perspective, because it means a lot of these games coming out may not, succeed financially, but they'll always, not that I wanted to say it's not my problem, but that's not my business, I guess. Like, I want everyone to succeed. They're not always going to succeed. And
yeah,
I'll just take it as it comes,
and there's
Plenty
never
of
been a
games.
time where the business of video games has had everyone succeed. That's for sure. It's just
Yeah.
that now there's entire genres of games that are being flooded with so many games, and
Yeah.
that's
And
good from a player perspective. But while the supply is high, the demand for each game, on average, is super low, and that is a real problem for, again, like the developers' jobs. I'm very much wanting to, like, say, go on, get indie games, seize the means of development, because anybody can make a game now. I'm doing research for mine still, but it just there's just so much. Um,
yeah. And I'm not trying to come at this from like some sort of like, I don't know, objectivist libertarian perspective or anything like that. That's not where I'm at all. But I do feel in some way how this industry has gone. I mean, the AI problem is a big problem. Like, I feel like the industry is self-corrected pretty well with a lot of these. You know, you have a lot of copy, like, games influenced or copying other games depending on perspective. Um, that's always been a thing. So like, you have so many Hades likes, you have so many rogue likes in general. You have a lot of deck building happening in the indie space, and I think that's something that'll, like, I just look at a lot, and 90% of them I go, what's the differentiator? And I just pay attention to the ones that, just seem very samey.
that's very rational
And
from a consumer perspective and
yeah,
a
and I
player
think that's
perspective.
I think that's just something that a lot of players, even if you're not thinking about that stuff, you're still subconsciously, if I see the fifth farming game, and then I just kind of go like, okay, there's farming in it, which is something I've done in a lot of games. What, either the art style, I just, like, take my own magnifying glass to those games from those very overcrowded genres.
And
Like the like Vampire Survivors style genre.
Survivaton now.
Yeah. So like that there was one that came out a few days ago on Game Pass. I'm forgetting the name. It just came out on Game Pass, and I was like, I looked at it and I'm like, I really want to try another Survivors game. Beatdown City Survivors. But
Oh
it has a
yeah,
lot of interesting stuff. It's got some melee stuff, got like
I tried that. It
different,
was terrible.
yeah. I had a good
Sorry.
time. I played like 2 hours the other day, and I'm kind of like, well, I may or may not ever go back to this, but I at least enjoyed what I played, and hopefully, playing it through Game Pass, metrics are good enough and a good enough deal on it to support them. And so that's the sort of thing where I'm like, I've played so many of them, probably played, 20 to 30 of them in the past couple of years, and I know what I like in them and what I don't like. So I tried Beatdown City Survivors, and I was like, oh, this has more of what I like than what I don't like.
And I
So
have to blame myself a little bit too, because I am as close to treating Steam like a library as you can get sometimes. I really did want to put effort and time into Yerbabuena, for instance,
yeah,
because it looked really interesting. An NPC from a closing video game who can manipulate physics objects sounded really good. But I'm gonna upload a separate gameplay video of that, and unfortunately my brain just could not. I'm sure there was a way that it could, but a lot of the physics were inconsistent, and what seemed to be key objects just seemed to vanish off into the distance if I did something wrong, that were unrecoverable. So yeah, I refunded it. But what I got with that, because I ended up finding my Oculus Quest 2 that I refuse to say meta, that actually came in a month ago in a Keurig box, but I thought it was a box of Keurig pod refills. Oops. But was kayakvrmirage. That is such a good game on PSVR 2. I enjoyed it there, but when I sold that, I was like, I'm never coming back to this. But then I got a mini PC, and that performs pretty well on there. I didn't get motion sick at all. Maybe it's just that I have my VR legs. Maybe it's the reprojection or whatever inside the headset with that, because it ran in a pretty small window when I checked. But that is such a nice, relaxing game, and a good workout, too. I kayaked for a virtual kilometer yesterday between Kings Canyon, Australia, and Antarctica. There's few maps in the deluxe edition, so I decided to get it there with the money that I got from refunding yerbabuena. I also got Resident Evil 4 VR because part of the reason why I got the Quest 2 in the first place was to try and preserve my library against the platform getting shut down somehow. Because holy shit, it is such a pain in the ass to manage any of it. I wanted to check out Horizon Worlds out of curiosity because it was going away. But I think part of the problem with me is that I'm such a game preservationist at heart that I'm like, oh, I have to buy Adventure Time, something of the Enchiridion, Tales of the Enchiridion, and have barely ever touched that. But it's getting delisted. I had to save it. But Horizon Worlds put in a bunch of bullcrap alongside my Quest 2. It's very annoying to actually uninstall games now. It was very unintuitive to have any more environments than the bubbles. And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna use it for the other reason that I got this thing, which was to play my PC VR games. Which, that was also a pain in the ass, because you know what they want you to do? It's so fucking stupid. You have to install the Meta Horizon Link app on PC, but the app is so broken that I cannot seem to advance past the hard drive selection for installing VR purchases on there, which is incredibly annoying, because the other buttons that should happen, such as headset and like games, just don't work. They're unclickable. Which is what? And you're telling me that I have to use this if I want to use a Quest Link cable or a USB-C cable or AirLink? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. You know? So I did Steamlink, but I have to use an Ethernet cable or it's complete garbage, which means that I have to disconnect my Xbox from the internet because for some reason it doesn't work with Wi-Fi now. Technology is just annoying sometimes. But the biggest thing that I played on the Quest 2 was actually VRchat, because that was what I put the most time into when I originally had it on the native Quest 2 version. And that had its advantages, such as being able to play it away from my PC at the time, which was not capable of running VRchat at all. But, man, it was so much more fun there, because there were so much more complex worlds that I could even stream through my headset. I didn't feel any latency issues at all, or again, motion sickness. And my favorite activity was the midnight bar, because Blaze from Sonic served me something called a space mule, I think. It made me trip out in terms of visuals without having to take anything. And my character was moving around and everything was swirling. And you know what? A stormtrooper did warn me about that. But then after some time, it just deposited me at the beginning. And thankfully, the virtual bouncer recognized me and let me through the 18 plus door.
Mhm.
I don't know why that's 18 plus. That's to be encouraging underage drinking, but well, thankfully the other person I struck up a conversation with was 23. You never know with VRChat a little bit. And the only
Well, I
other
mean, a
safe
lot of places do have an 18 drinking rule, so
This is true. Yeah.
America is almost kind of an exception.
Yeah, I wish to be a little bit more consistent and say just 18 for everything because we're giving 16-year-olds the right to drive a ton of screaming metal death. That doesn't compute. More to the point, it was very wild. The only other safe place I found to make friends was Trans Academy because I got told I was a baddie in an avatar search world. That's kind of on me for doing a public instance, but I just wanted to see if I could, you know, meet other like-minded people who knew more about avatars than me, and they're very complex a lot of the time, and have a lot of like tails and ears and things, and all the things I didn't want. So it took a bit of searching. Will I put a ton of time into that again? Who knows? It's very difficult to make any kind of durable friendships these days, but I did have fun with the time I had, and it again performed really well and looked better while being streamed from my computer than the Quest 2 version ever could, with more complex models and worlds. So that's my fault for being so interested in what's the newness anywhere. But I did clear my backlog by one by beating Deadzonerogue's Apophis expansion.
Oh, nice. Nice.
By the end of that, I had a heavy machine gun that quickly reloaded. I had probably one of the most nuts automatic shotguns I've ever had in a video game, period, which is the fire rate mods and everything like that I found. And one that almost never ran out of ammo if I was quick about dashing and moving around because I got a perk to refill 2 bullets per 5 meters traveled. The final
Wow.
boss was also a pushover because I also had Ghostplay, which I imagine they're gonna nerf if they even include it in Deadzonerogue 2, because if you play it right, it basically eliminates the ads, which that's one of my complaints with boss fights usually is that they just love to, swarm you with a bunch of folks. They're cowards. But maybe I understand why now, because I really did no diff that by the end. And the story's going some interesting places. So if you end up getting back into it, I will definitely help you no diff it too. But
Sure.
there is the beta coming out for 2 this month sometime.
Oh.
So I think if we manage to do another show that in June, then we got to do that after this week. Because here's the thing. I've been summoned to jury duty.
Oh, great.
Well, I mean, I'm actually one of the few people who would be excited about that because I consider it a civic duty. Like, if it were one of us, we would want a jury of our peers who would be unbiased and capable of sober analysis of the facts in relation to the law. And I was very excited to do that in December 2022 when I lived in Maryland. I was also disappointed that I got a letter from New York when I was not there. It's like, oh man, my mom got on jury duty. I can't really talk about her case, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been summoned 3 times, and thankfully they've never. One time I was an alternate, but then they, after the second day, were like, we don't need you actually. And then the other days they didn't need me. Period. After the first day, thankfully.
Yeah, with your obligations and the fact that your employers might not have paid for jury duty, I can imagine you being a bit more hesitant about it.
Pretty sure they're legally obligated to pay at least a stipend. Well, not my employer, but you at least get a stipend. And I would probably have just used some PTO or whatever.
Yeah, but I can imagine that being a bit tougher to navigate than the government, where you have to get paid your full salary. I just will take
a
court day
get the
for
full
Monday.
Salary, yeah. I would definitely be more enthused about it if I was getting paid a salary for it.
Yeah, I basically got a day off because the defendant settled with the government, and that's important leverage. I still felt good about that, and watched the World Cup at the time and the December elections on the worst television I've ever seen. It was satellite TV in a shitty motel. I thought the food would be better, but unfortunately I got a shrimp salad that gave me a stomach ache. So that was not fun. But I'm going in on Monday. It'll be nice
What did
for
we
me
hit?
to.
Oh, they're firing at us from over there. Okay, got it.
Oh, the island. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
not a big deal. So I'm going in on Monday, and that'll be a nice 4-day weekend, basically.
Yeah.
Because I don't imagine that I'll be called to trial. If I am, then that's gonna put a lot of things on hold. Though I'll be sure to let everybody I care about, including you, know what the result is of that. And, of course, be sequestered for a while, which that might be good for me.
Yep.
Uh-oh. The feared red maw. Uh-oh.
As long as we don't aggro it, it'll probably just let us be.
That's fair. And then there's some part of me that wants to aggro it, but I'm not going to. Still, there's a lot of anxiety-inducing things happening right now in gaming that also makes it hard to enjoy gaming so much.
I don't know. For me, I just have a different perspective. I just really separate the two. Like the business of gaming,
I envy
sucks
that.
a lot more than it has. But like, I don't know. There's still plenty of great games.
Oh, they're attacking!
Oh, it is. Okay. Well,
I guess we're fighting.
Oh, this is the fire one. This is the fire one. But at least we have the rain on our side. I don't know if I want to do a long battle. Let's just try to get away from it. I think it should let us be if we either get near an island or
Make a fire stopper.
keep going.
Commendation
Yeah.
unlocked. Nice. Any other fires I need to worry about? Okay, no.
No, the rain's at least covering us with that. We're not too far from the outpost, so if we can just... There are some holes on the middle deck by the map table.
I'll take care of them. I guess it's just tough, but I am also enjoying Pragmata more. Again, this really could be my game of the year because I think this is tricking me into liking the Dark Souls formula. Even if it's a lot easier, there's still that flow of having to go to a safe zone to really heal up, of carrying 3 healing items, of slow combat, mainly because once you actually get the opening to attack, you can do it fast with the shooting that is very responsive, unlike in many Souls-like games where the clunkiness is kind of the point, and that turns me off. But the slow factor comes from the fact that you have to walk and hack at the same time. And I'm now encountering enemies that have red panels on their face that block hacking. So I have to shoot those first, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
There's more weapon types now, too, such as a Riot Buster, that is basically a huge-ass grenade launch.
Oh, we're gonna dig it. Don't worry about the fire, because that'll go out with the storm.
I'm just repairing
Just repair.
with more...
Yeah, just repair.
Oh!
Once we get to the outpost, it should stop aggroing us. But once you're done repairing, I might need a little navigation assistance, because I cannot see 5 feet in front of me right now.
Uh-oh.
And the compass is not working because of this. So
yeah,
just
totally.
get me to the outpost. I am circled, and it should be okay. Oh wait, I see it in the distance now. Okay, I'm still going the right way.
Okay, well, I'll focus on repairing then.
Yeah, just repair, and if you get a chance, just make sure I'm pretty much... It looks like I'm on target for the outpost, but I just want to be sure.
The story is also really interesting in Pragmata, too. Is it a little bit fast for this guy that just lost a bunch of people to killer robots to trust a robot? Yeah, maybe, but Diana's so adorable that you can't help but root for them. And how also the... Oh! Uh-oh. No. The wire's really filling up.
Oh, okay, I can come help for a sec.
It's okay. We got it under hand.
I'll at least do a little bailing for you.
We shall bail together. That is our guild model, after all, over at Sunny Redemption. So, I'm just hoping that, Xbox will not be completely gutted. That, quality games will continue to come out from all studios. That Game Pass isn't the worst thing to happen to gaming because... You know what? Again, from a libertarian, I suppose, free market, consumer perspective, people are completely rational in not wanting to pay $70 for the latest game if it's coming as part of a subscription service. But it just hasn't grown the way that Microsoft wanted it to.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. However, the thing that makes me so fucking furious is that Microsoft is literally sitting on $78 billion in free cash. They do not need to do these austerity measures. They do not.
Yeah.
And you know what else? They keep using their right hand to punch their left because they're saying, oh, the RAM crisis. We couldn't have possibly. No, you did. You fueled the RAM crisis for fucking glorified spell check.
Ship there. Yes, there is. Well, not using this outpost.
Nope, but on the other hand,
it looks like a sloop, so not a huge deal. I just don't want them to start chasing us.
On the other hand, there is some loot in the water that I think I can harpoon. That is just a quest, a message in a bottle.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. I don't think we have the right angle to harpoon anything.
I guess we're gonna go. Let's go to Sanctuary then. Let's just turn wide here. I just want to get away from the
Sanctuary!
I hope that we might be like just chasing this storm. I can't tell which direction it's moving.
It is very watery in here, but I've got it, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know if you need help. I can hop off for a second, but I'm just trying to. Let's just go north and try to get out of this.
It's very difficult to bail with how much rain there is, but it's also very difficult to navigate because I don't want to lose my.
Yeah. So just do what you can.
But you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I at least know where north is. I can navigate without the compass for a bit. I know where north is.
Yeah. So it'll be on our right in a little bit.
The storm is following us, which it might be. If it's going north with us, that'll be annoying. But it looks like there's clear skies ahead of us, so I'm just trying to outpace the storm into those, pretty much.
You know, I've gotten a moment to think with this storm, though, and I think that part of the anxiety for me comes from, well, of course, the fact that AI is being used to replace people by techno-feudal lords. But even before that, just the 11 years of this roller coaster of being an Xbox fan, of hoping and wishing for first party to be fixed, only for us to be basically praying to a monkey's paw every time. It's so annoying. Yeah. I just want to relax about Xbox, but I was fucking bullied for a decade over Xbox has no games, and when we finally get games, none of them are fucking exclusive. Not really. And then that was all on Phil. He thought everybody should play games as much as possible, which is a noble statement, but in this market economy, you have to have exclusives. It may be anti-consumer to expect people to buy every piece of hardware to experience every type of game, but I'm fine with not buying a PS5, and so I'm fine with not experiencing Wolverine or Laufey unless and until you get them, and I can play them a little bit, because I don't like Sony's practices as a consumer. They got lazy because Microsoft decided to be the good guy in video games. And that's not how competition works. So when Microsoft finally starts competing, they start cutting their own feet out from under themselves again. Last time they really tried to win this race, I suppose, they also got lazy because developers came to them for the Xbox 360, so they thought they could just leverage second-party developers forever. But then games like Rise, Sunset Overdrive, and Quantum Break didn't really work out. However, those are on Game Pass for what seems to be a very long term. So what I'm thinking is...
I mean, though, if those IPs or, whatever, I guess Sunset Overdrive, not in their case, but I think if they just kind of outright own those, I don't see why they wouldn't get those on Game Pass anyways.
Well, I think Microsoft does own Sunset Overdrive, if that's what you're talking about.
I thought I saw something about Sony actually having that as part of... I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of, I don't know. Maybe they actually. They must actually. Now that I say it,
because otherwise
Microsoft
Sony
must
would have
have
made
that.
super easy money by a remaster of a game that people
Yeah.
were to some degree jealous of. It was one of the reasons for me to get an Xbox One, alongside Titanfall and Forza Horizon 2. I bought the Ultimate Edition for $90. And then I ended up buying it again on Steam for $6.99, and it was much better that way. People buy what they're comfortable with to experience the games that they're comfortable with. We don't owe anybody anything as consumers. It does suck that these understandable trends are being taken out on developers, because if people decide to boycott because they don't like a company's practices, then guess what? It's not the C-suite that suffers. Ever. Ever. Like, there needs to be reforms around this. But our government is run by an insane tyrant. And so that's never going to happen in the near future. And what we are starting to see is that they're starting to say, well, you will own no consoles and be happy because of this buy now, pay later bullshit that is being floated for Helix. Or, again, maybe just take some of that money back from the losing product category that has no profitability, but that looks good to Wall Street. I guess that's the point. AI. And so then you can just, save some of that money and put it over elsewhere. The only consumer brand that has any kind of enduring appeal. Because clearly the Surface product category is suffering. If anything, just stop making Surface laptops and have everybody OEM that. But they really want to do that for some reason, because they want to own 100% of that pie with their platform. Couldn't necessarily be a bad thing to have OEM Helix. Again, it may be slightly inconsistent, but if it means a handheld Helix that plays every Xbox Series X game very well, then that could be worth it for some people. It'd probably be a lot of money, though. That's the thing, is if they're going the route of 3DO here, then the individual hardware makers are not incentivized to sell anything at a loss.
Yeah.
Because they don't make a cut on the games for the most part. Unless sometimes there's, deals with things, or Nvidia a little bit with driving people to GeForce Now with their graphics cards. But even Nvidia is pivoting to AI, because you know what Microsoft should have done is not invested in any one chatbot maker because they think, oh, this is going to be the next industrial revolution. No, it's just another internet bubble where the technology will stick around, but it's not nearly as wildly profitable yet as the internet is now. And so, people have not figured out how to make bazillions of dollars from the internet by the time the bubble popped there. And that's the same thing with AI. So they should have just been like Nvidia, being like, okay, we will rent out the Azure space ever, and we win having to spend $80 freaking billion. Okay, I get that Activision was a bad bet. That was philspencer's fault, and Asha can't really do anything about it. She probably also is being overruled a lot by Satya Nadella, who is a slimy excuse for a human being and needs to be fired. But he's the CEO, so he would have to fire himself.
Yeah.
Which, that's not happening. And he just sits around and says, oh, don't call us slop, in pretty blog posts. What do some of these C-suite people actually do all day? Other than just be like, well, guess we declined by $500 million in revenue. Gotta make Xbox a sustainable business by cutting its legs from under it again. I guess if you can get a blood transfusion because they need to invest more in, say, marketing, not less. They need to invest more if they're going to accelerate the development of first-party games, not less. And I guess that money has to come from somewhere, but, there have to be other solutions than getting rid of people's jobs in an at-will economy where employment is tied to health insurance. So it would be nice, for instance, if we had UBI based on taxing AI companies that they really are getting rid of everybody's jobs. But okay, there we go. I forgot to do that. But we will be discussing all this BS free more in depth with the amazing D-Rec Gaming Podcast on Friday. So stay tuned for that, people.
Yeah.
Thanks for sailing with Sunny Redemption. You have a good one.
All right. See you later. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.